any writing advice for emerging writers in the industry?
Yeah, allow yourself to be bad at it. Like, I think a lot of us sort of go in with like really, really good taste and not the skill set yet. And it's really, writing is really, really hard, and it doesn't matter what what level you are. Like, everybody struggles. And it's vulnerable and it's challenging, and so much of what you discover comes from those vomit drafts. So I would just encourage people to like let go and try to have fun and know that this is like a learned skill, and it's totally okay for that first draft to be a piece of shit because that's how it starts for all of us. And I think the more that you are comfortable with being bad at it, the more that you're just going to sort of fall into being good at it.
I love that advice. I always need to remember that advice. Well, and kind of to your point about like coming in with great taste, I think there's like an Ira Glass quote about how like your taste is usually, better than your ability. And so then that makes you unhappy. But the sort of flip side of that is it's very difficult to write something better than the best thing you can possibly imagine. So like having a good sense of taste that is like what you want, it sort of ultimately, it might make you feel like you're not achieving it in the moment, but it's ultimately the thing that's going to drag your progress forward. Assuming you keep writing, which would be my general advice, which is make sure you're actually writing. I feel like when I first moved to LA, I was like very convinced that I was writing a lot. And then I went on I think it was like the writing pad or something. I went to look for classes. I was like, I should take a class. Deadlines are helpful, as I assume the people who host the Deadline Junkies podcast are aware.
Thank you for promoting us.
Yes. And I was looking on their website, and there was some part of where you're supposed to sign up, and it was like, who should be taking these classes? And there was some like thing that was like, if you're not writing 10 hours a week, you're not a real writer, which I'm not saying it has to be that at all. But in that moment, I was like, I'm writing 10 hours a week. And then I started actually tracking it, and I would write like a little bit before I went to work, or like a little bit on an evening when my wife was like out with friends. And I did like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and they all came out to like 4.5 hours of writing. And I was like, oh shit, 10 hours is a lot of writing to squeeze in. And so that really helped me reframe my own commitment to it. Not just like I should be writing 10 hours, but like sit down, actually put words on the page, on some kind of page, whether it's a notebook or a computer screen or whatever, because it's so easy to like read an article about writing, or like research the topic of your story, or pace around coming up with ideas. And at the end of the day, I think I realized as I say this, I'm just backing into Alex's advice, which is like, just write and then don't worry about it.
Our boss likes to, our old boss on Dexter used to say, what was it? Perfection is the death of progress. It's, and I think that's so true. And I think, we can be super hard on ourselves. And I think the minute that you just sort of let go is when you figure it out.
And also I still do like read a lot about and think a lot about writing, and like try to have very things that I wish were profound thoughts about writing. But the end result is like so much of what you can teach about writing is sort of like very descriptive and not proscriptive, if that makes any sense. And if you think about it, like all of the best things, part of what makes them amazing is that they're organic, and that they're not easily definable. Like there's something about them that sticks out, that's weird, that grabs your attention, that that bucks the expectations you have, which is like the main thing you have to do to get people's attention in writing. And sometimes I think about it like, if someone were to tell me the best proportions for a flower, I wouldn't like, that's effectively what they're doing. But like when you go to a garden and you see like a really beautiful flower, you're not like, the third petal was supposed to start 75% of the way around the flower. You're just like, wow, I can't believe I'm looking at this one of a kind thing that exists in the world and doesn't apologize for it.
Well, did you just come up with that metaphor on the spot, or is that something you think about?
I did, but I'm going to write it down after this in case anyone ever asks again.
It's really good. It's good.
Thanks for watching the Deadline Junkies Screenwriting Podcast. Subscribe and ring that YouTube bell for new episodes and more screenwriting tips.